Here's the thing about this week's Gotham. I don't believe that this episode came out. I don't believe that fully grown adult humans wrote this episode, filmed it, acted it out, and then put it on a national network of television seen by millions. I just refuse to believe that happened. It's just not possible. This week's episode of Gotham, Azrael, it's really hard to talk about. Because it's crazy. And I know I've been saying that since I've started reviewing this show. Oh, this show is crazy. I was wrong. I apologize. I was wrong. This episode might as well be entered into the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game as something that you could accidentally watch and drive you mad and lose sanity points. I don't even begin to... I don't know how this got made. It's insane. It doesn't even begin to resemble anything that could remotely be called reality. And I understand this is a show that's supposed to lead up to, a city full of costume-themed people. Or would that be themed costumed people? I think it would be themed costumed people. I understand that this show is supposed to be building to a city full of, again, fully grown adult humans who dress up with a theme and commit crimes or stop crimes. But that at least kind of resembles something of reality? Okay, so the episode starts, and by the way, there is not going to be any linear progression through this episode. I'm going to start at the beginning, or what I think is the beginning, because I don't remember. I literally just finished watching the episode. And it's already, my brain is, rejecting it and being like, well, you couldn't have possibly watched that. That couldn't possibly have happened, and, it's leaving. So, I'm probably going to jump around. And I'm probably going to be, mid-statement about something and be like, oh, wait, I forgot to mention there's this little thing that's really weird. I don't think I could cohesively talk about this episode without doing, a frame-by-frame, breakdown of the episode. Even a commentary. I feel like I would have so much to say about a single thing that, I would talk over 7 other things that are also insane. So, we have Azrael, and he's come back from the dead, spewing about angels and demons, and Azrael, and then we're told by Hugo Strange that he has no memories. That essentially the process of dying and coming back, because I keep meaning to talk about the assistant woman who works with Hugo Strange, who is 100% skeptical and kind of smarmy about everything that Hugo Strange does, but also equally 100% on board with everything he's doing. It's weird. But sometimes she says something where she's like, oh, well, he's crazy. And Hugo Strange says, no, he's not crazy. He just doesn't have any memories. We're going to create his memories for him. Okay. If he doesn't have any memories, why is he spewing about angels and demons and heretics and sinners? Why is he saying Azrael? surely he has to have some kind of memories. And if he doesn't have memories, then that means that he literally went to hell, or heaven, I guess, and came back with memories from the afterlife. And that is not touched on. Like, the fact that the first thing the man who died and comes back from the dead starts talking about is, like, fire and brimstone, like, biblical mythology, no one's concerned about it. No one mentions it. But we're told that he has no memories. And so, then, and I know I'm jumping forward because there's a bunch of scenes in between, but then Hugo Strange, he shows him a reel of film of, like, the Order of Saint Dumas, like, propaganda that he apparently just had sitting around. Because he knew that when this guy came back from the dead, that he's never done before and had no idea what would happen, but he knew that he was going to come back as, like, a religious fanatic. So he already had this weird, like, Order of Saint Dumas propaganda film created. Now, here's the weird thing, because if you remember at the beginning of this season, the Order of Saint Dumas is a maybe religious order that was formed by a rich family who the Waynes chased out of Gotham maybe about 200 years ago, and they formed a maybe religious order that sole purpose was to eliminate the Waynes. But now we're told the backstory of Saint Dumas, who was a 12th century guy. I forget if they give him a rank. Like, I want to say monk, but I'm not sure if that's right. He's a guy that went around performing miracles and brought back to life someone named Azrael. So why did the Order of Saint Dumas name themselves after Saint Dumas? Like, it's not like in the comics where Azrael has or Jean-Paul Valley has this, like, it's called the system, and it's psychological conditioning that he's had since a child that he doesn't know is there, that when certain things happen, it inactivates inside of him. It like a sleeper agent. He has all this stuff inside of his brain that's been subliminally put there over years and years and years. This doesn't seem to be the case with this Azrael. It just seems like he died and came back and was spewing weird religious stuff that had nothing to do with what he was doing before. Okay. Parallel to this, we have this story with the Riddler, where he's making friends in the insane asylum. Why is he in the insane asylum? Like, why isn't he just in the regular prison? Like, I know, arguably, he is crazy because he has that split personality thing, but that's kind of fixed, and we're not talking about that anymore, so I'm not sure why he's in the crazy ward, because everyone else there is, like, Looney Tunes. Like, they are, like, really crazy people. He's just a dude. Like, maybe he's a little eccentric, but he's just a guy. And he's kind of making friends with them, and then he goes up to the woman who is Hugo Strange's assistant, and is like, look, I'm not crazy, I can help you. And he, like, diagnoses all of the different people. And he says, you know, something like a person's mind is just a mystery, and I can solve any mystery. Which is a really interesting idea for the Riddler. That the Riddler is like a perfect profiler, because he can read people the same way he could read any kind of, like, puzzle. And that's an interesting idea that we don't do anything with, but it's kind of interesting. And so he's like, well, I know everything about these people and how they work, and I could help you. I have no idea what you're doing, but I could help you. And then later, they like walk through the hallway, come in, grab one of the crazy people, leave, and just leave the door open so that the Riddler can go through it. And I don't know how that happened. Like, you run an insane asylum, you'd think locking doors are like an important thing. There's stuff kind of going on with Bruce Wayne. I guess I'm just going to go through the plot lines. I'll get back to Azrael, but I guess I'm just going to jump around plot lines. I really have no idea how to talk about this. There's not a lot going on with Bruce Wayne. He's hanging around Gordon. He's hanging around the police station. And basically his big thing is, you know, there should be somebody to stop things like this. Like, if the cops can't do it, like, somebody should. You know, you shouldn't necessarily have to follow the laws to bring in the lawbreakers. You know, very, like, oh, one day he's going to be Batman kind of a thing. But it's really weird because he has this conversation with Gordon, and Gordon disagrees with him, but Gordon's doing that. Like, right now, Gordon is Batman, so that conversation was weird. And then we have a conversation with Gordon and the police commissioner where Gordon kind of tells him everything that's been going on, and the police commissioner is like, you sound like a crazy person. Like, do you not understand that you sound like a crazy person? And I was trying to think if there's anything in this show that's happened in the public limelight that I could, like, criticize the police commissioner for this. Or I could be like, so wait, this is unbelievable, but this is perfectly fine? And I can't really come up with anything specifically, so I guess I'll give that a pass. Also, Gordon tells the commissioner that Hugo Strange is bringing people back from the dead, which I'm not sure how he knows that. What else? I'm really sorry. This is a really terrible video. It's just there's so much that happens, and it's all crazy. So, like, trying to remember it is like trying to remember things that were, like, slowly breaking my brain. And I'm not making it sound super crazy, but, like, you'd have to watch it to really understand, like, how crazy this really is. So, Hugo Strange gives Azrael a sword and his costume. Kind of. We never see him get his costume, but we assume that Hugo Strange gave it to him, because it's a pretty elaborate costume. And he gives him the sword, and there's this really little bit that I like, which is it's a knockoff. It's made to look like this famous sword, but, like, they made it, like, 2 days ago. Like, they say, like, he says something about, like, you know, this sword has, you know, slain heretics for centuries, and it cries out for blood. And then his assistant, who is, like I said, both completely condescending and then 100% on board with everything that he does, is like, centuries? You made that sword 2 days 2 days ago. And I'm not really sure what the plan is here. Okay, so he wants Azrael to kill Commissioner Gordon. What is the plan beyond that? Is he to be an assassin? Is, like, I have no idea what Hugo Strange wants, because up to this point, he just seems curious. He just seems like he's doing things to find out what will happen. He's just kind of a mad scientist. Like, what if I do this? What if I bring someone back from the dead? So I'm not sure what the end game is, but he completely outfits him with a costume and the sword, which I was really disappointed that it was not on fire. So he goes after Gordon, and Gordon's with the police commissioner. And here is the one thing that I will say about this episode, is Azrael looks cool, and he's shot cool. The way Azrael is done in this makes me think that, like, on a regular network TV budget, you could totally do a cool Batman show. Like, just looking at how Azrael is done, like, I was like, oh yeah, they totally could do a network show could totally do, like, a full-blown, like, dark superhero show. And so, when they go back to the police station, now I'm just telling you what happens, because I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, so then they go back to the police station, and Azrael shows up at the police station, but here's the thing. The police station is full of policemen with guns. Azrael is a crazy person who just got brought back from the dead and doesn't seem to have any superpowers and hasn't really had, much, like, training. So, him showing up and doing the Batman thing is really weird. And he's invincible. Like, he gets, like, littered with bullets. There's even a point where he is on the ground and the commissioner just, like, just, like, into his chest. And he's fine. He's fine. And I know, like, I have no problem with that with Batman, or any superhero. But it would have been nice, because this show's so crazy anyways, it would have been nice if this had been set up at all. In Daredevil, we have that thing really early on where we find out that the Kingpin has this, like, specially made vest, this special material that, like, knives can't cut and bullets can't go through. And, like, that's set up and seated so that when Daredevil gets his costume, it's kind of believable that he has this costume that's made out of this material. Here, he just shows up in this suit and he's awesome and able to beat everyone and has no problems, like Batman. Okay, not able to beat everyone, like, he does get knocked to the ground and shot, but, like, he's moving like Batman. Like, he's moving through the shadows and just, like, taking people out. And then we get to the roof, and there's a big confrontation, and the commissioner dies, and Azrael gets away, but not before everyone finds out that he's Gallivant. Which is really weird, because, like, there's these news crews, and they're like, Gallivant, what is it? They say something very specific where they're like, you see the beginning of the news broadcast, where they say, like, we're covering a raid on police headquarters. And then another news crew says, something, Gallivant. And then they go, we're continuing to bring you the coverage of the story of Theodore Gallivant, who, by the way, is alive. And I was like, what do you mean continue? Like, you just found out. But, whatever. Oh, God, I don't even... Like, this is a terrible video. I can't even begin to talk about what happens in this episode. It's so crazy. Okay, and then there's a thing that I'm really confused about and curious if I missed something or if it's just not told to me. But, so, Hugo Strange has all of these people in this, like, secret room. And I think the implication is that he's killing them, bringing them back to life, and then giving them identities. Because he has these different books, and he's reading, and one of them is Alice in Wonderland. So I'm wondering if he's killed these people, brought them back to life, and is giving them each a different new history, and one of them's going to be like Mad Hatter? It's weird, and I still don't know what his motive... I don't know what anyone wants in the show, or who they are. I don't even want to begin to talk about what's going on with Barbara, because we get Barbara for, like, a scene, and she's just weird and crazy, and she's living with, that guy that used to work for Penguin, and that chick that's not Catwoman, and Barbara's like, I'm gonna make something. I should make something. I'm really good at making drinks. And they're like, well, what about some bourbon? She's like, no, I'm gonna make this other thing, because that's what I'm gonna make. And then she, like, walks away, and the guy's like, she kind of scares me. And then not Catwoman is like, there's nothing to be scared of. Then she comes back, and she's got, like, a big knife, and she's like, oh, hey, I just needed a knife. I just needed to take care of something. Like she's just nuts. And everyone's just acting like, what are you talking about? She's cured. Okay, and then the ending of the episode is Riddler finds the secret base with all the crazy people. And Penguin shows up. I don't remember what happened to Penguin last. Like, the last thing I remember is that he killed his whole family. Like, that's the last time I remember seeing Penguin. And then here, he goes into his home, and, like, his family's all still there, dead. But it feels like he was doing something else. Like, he got back from another adventure. But I don't remember him having another adventure. Trying to think of other things to talk about. This show is nuts. Like, it's not even bad. I mean, it is bad. But, like, there are certain... Like, there are plenty of, like, mediocre to bad shows that I don't really understand why people like them. You know, Arrow is a terrible show with lots of contrivances and, like, ridiculous plot points. You know, Law and Order is the same episode every week, and, you know, it's kind of boring. And, like, you know, things like Charmed is just, like, Buffy without emotions and intelligence. And, like, there's lots of TV shows that I just do not understand why people enjoy. Or I understand that people enjoy them because they're turn your brain off shows, right? Like, they're the kind of shows where you're like, well, I like to watch Law and Order because it's familiar, and it's got kind of like a dark edge, but it doesn't particularly challenge me mentally. And so I just, you know, I enjoy watching it. Like, I can kind of get that, right? I don't understand who the audience for this show is, other than crazy people. Like, if it's set in, if this show is being aired in, like, an asylum, like, that makes sense to me. But this goes beyond being a bad show. This goes beyond having contrived character things and, like, silly scenes where, like, somebody sees somebody else kissing, and then, like, they have to react to that, or, you know, tacked on backstory where, like, we find out that these people have actually known each other since the beginning of the show, but because we didn't write it until this episode, none of them acted like they knew each other. Like, it certainly does do those things, but it does them in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's doing it the way other shows do it, like it's bad writing. It feels like, you know, there's that thing about how, like, if you get, like, 1,000,000 monkeys in a room, you'll eventually come up with the works of Shakespeare. Like, this feels like the first draft of those 1,000,000 monkeys. Like, they wrote things in English in a sequence, and we just made it. Like, with no... I can't even, like, I don't even know what to say about this. I think there's only one episode left of this season. Thank God. I'm going to need the whole summer to recover from this. I don't even know. Like, I legitimately, I can't believe grown human adults made this show. It is so insane and doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't even mean, like, plot holes doesn't make sense. I mean, nothing makes sense. Like, if you pick any single point in this episode, you can find something that doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't operate on the standard human convention of, like, like, understanding. It's insane. And I really love it because it's crazy. But man, it went from being a show that, like, I was like, ha ha ha, like, it's so crazy. And now I'm legitimately concerned for everyone involved. How this many people were able to make this thing and no one was like, so, you know, this isn't anything like anyone's ever thought ever, right? Like, it's like The Room. If you've ever seen The Room is a famously terrible movie. And I love The Room. Because The Room is the singular vision of a crazy person who has no understanding of how to make a movie. So it's badly shot, it's badly written. Like, nothing in that movie makes sense because it's all coming from this singular voice of this crazy person who is also the star of the film. And that's not, like... That's not me being condescending to The Room or Tommy Wiseau. Like, Tommy Wiseau is clearly a crazy person. And, like, if you've read The Disaster Artist, which is the book about the making of The Room, which I have because I love The Room, it's very clear that Tommy Wiseau is a crazy person that does not exist on the same plane of existence that everyone else exists on. And everyone else making The Room knew that he was a crazy person, knew that what they were doing made no sense, and tried to stop him, or at least explain to him why what he was doing made no sense. This feels like someone like Tommy Wiseau was given a budget and said, make a Batman thing. But no one involved were those people being like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. I don't even know. I can't even. 10 million stars for creativity.